And because so many drivers were out filling up because of what was happening with Colonial Pipeline, of course, stations were dealing with inflated prices, and sometimes people were wondering what in the world was going on. That is why Attorney General Josh Stein is here to help us ease your fears by taking your questions about the whole situation, what price gouging is, what it isn't, what you do about it. What we want you to do is get your questions to the Attorney General by texting those questions 336-379-5775. That's how you text the Attorney General and get him to answer your question. All right, so first and foremost, thank you for being with us. I know it's been crazy couple of days. Let's first go over what the definition of price gouging is so that people will know what we're talking about. And so when we look at price gouging and we look at the number of complaints and we bring up that definition, it is when a business unreasonably raises the prices of goods or services to profit from the state of emergency. And at this point, or the last point, there were about 300 complaints. So where are we now?
We're north of 400 now, Tanya. It's a pleasure to be with you. Yes, that is the definition of price gouging. The law comes into effect whenever the governor declares a state of emergency. That's what triggers it. Because what we don't want is sellers charging an unreasonably excessive price. Those are the words in the statute, an unfair price, when people are desperate because they know they've got us over a barrel. So that's what the law prohibits. Unfair pricing in times of emergency. Unfair
pricing. So unfair to me, unfair to you, unfair to somebody else, maybe something else. So how do you gauge when it actually is price gouging and when it's just prices that because of supply and demand and the supply that's, a little bit more expensive becomes more expensive? How do you do that?
With an investigation. We ask people to file complaints with our office when they see something that's concerning to them. Maybe gas was at $2.70 and now it's at $5.50, and that strikes you as unfair or unreasonable. So file a complaint with our office. It's very easy to do, and we can talk about how in a minute. But what we will then do is investigate that complaint. We will reach out to the seller and ask them, what was the price before the emergency? What price are you charging now? And is there any justification for that increase? If the seller incurred additional expenses in order to get new supply, that's a good thing. And they're allowed to pass those expenses on to the consumer. But if the seller has the exact same supply at the same price they paid for before, they can't exploit our desperation and raise their prices. That's price gouging, and we will hold them accountable.
But there could be that possibility where, their supply was about to run out on Monday. They then, after the state emergency hit, they got their next shipment and the price went up before they opened the pumps on Tuesday or whatever else, and that inflated the price some. That is a possibility.
That is absolutely a possibility, and that's why each complaint requires an investigation so we can determine, is it valid or not? For instance, we got a number of complaints about gas stations charging $9.99 when they weren't actually charging $9.99. What a number of them were doing was signaling to the public that they were out of gas. They put $9.99 on the sign to let people know that they didn't have to get off the highway to come see if they have gas because they didn't have any. But consumers were confused, and some people filed complaints making that allegation, and we thank them for doing that. It's just not every time you think it's price gouging, is it actually price gouging?
All right, and someone was asking, how long does it take for the AG's office to investigate a complaint?
It takes some time because we have to reach out to the business. We have to review their business records, find out what receipts they have to demonstrate what their new costs are, if there were any. So it can take some time. We work as fast as we can. Heck, unfortunately, we have some cases that are still left over from the hurricane from 2 or 3 years ago, although we've resolved almost all of them at this point.
All right, so the big takeaway here is if you think that there was price gouging, you do need to make a complaint. Otherwise, you and your office don't know that that's what's happening. And so
Correct.
What types of pieces of information do they need to have on that complaint to help you with that investigation?
It's so easy to file a complaint with my office. You just go to the website, ncdoj.gov/price gouging, and fill out the form. We want to know, what is the price that you see and what evidence do you have? Is it a receipt or is it a photograph? Do you know what the price was before? You may not know, and that's fine. And then just submit that information. Give us the name of the seller, what the address is, any information you have, so that we can follow up on it to determine, was it legal or was it price gouging?
And I think that's really important for the folks at home to know, is that you ask for specific evidence from the gas station of when they bought and at what price.
Correct. That's absolutely right, Tanya.
All right, we're going to continue to take your questions and talk about price gouging, what it is, what it isn't, how you make a complaint, all of that coming up. You can continue to text your questions. We'll be right back.